Welcome to Unveiled Histories, the Lost Legacy of Western Sweden. I'm sitting here between the Great Lakes of the Scandinavian Peninsula, where a forgotten story whispers through the ages. History as we know it is fragile, woven from fragments of truth, shaped by those who hold the pen. Think of the JFK assassination. Thousands witnessed it, countless books dissected every frame, every shadow, every sound. Yet over 60 years on, we still can't say for certain who pulled the trigger or why he was killed. If one moment so closely examined eludes us, how much of our past, centuries old, dictated by kings, scribes, or wary monks, can we truly trust? This brings us to Western Sweden, home of the Geatish people, perhaps the Goths of legend, maybe even the heroes of Beowulf. This region, an outpost of early Christianity and prosperous continental ties, was a hub long before Stockholm was founded in 1252. Yet, by the 17th century, Sweden's imperial rulers, centred in Stockholm, rewrote history, sidelining the Geats, their kings, their legacy. Buried here are the stories of English monks, early Swedish rulers, and perhaps even the real Valhalla, a mountain shrouded in myth. Join me as we uncover this erased chapter with local historians who've battled to restore the truth behind the Geatish kingdom's truth. We'll explore how propaganda and power shaped what we believe, revealing a Western Sweden that was a cradle of civilization, not a backwater by any means. This isn't just a journey into one region's past. It's a challenge to question every history we've ever been told. Let's go and uncover some secrets.
Vi läste väl lite så, och jag kommer ihåg att vi pratade om gamla Västgötalagen, att det var den äldsta lagen i Sverige. Men annars så var det ju slaget vid Brunkeberg och såna här saker som man pratade om lite. Så att det var Stockholms fixerat. Och Ansgar, kommer jag ihåg.
Berätta lite om Ansgar.
Ja, att han var den första kristne missionären som kom till Sverige och liksom kristnade Sverige helt enkelt. Det var vad man fick lära sig.
When Otto Löfgren was a boy, history lessons were all about Stockholm. This happened, that happened. Western Sweden barely merited a footnote. Löfgren learned that his region produced Sweden's oldest law books, its earliest religious texts. But no one explored what that meant. Could Western Sweden, Jutland, not Stockholm, be the cradle of Swedish civilization? Stockholm was a latecomer after all. Then there was St. Ansgar, the so-called Apostle of the North. History books painted him as a hero, a Benedictine monk sent by the Emperor Louis the Pious in 829 to Christianize Sweden. He landed at Birka near modern Stockholm, built a small congregation and, despite pagan resistance, supposedly laid the foundation for Christianity in Scandinavia. Monuments like the Ansgar Cross, raised in 1834 on Birka's Borgsberget Hill, celebrate him. Stockholm's Swedish History Museum even immortalizes him on its bronze gates of history, marking the dawn of Christianity. But that's not the real story. Recent scholarship reveals Ansgar wasn't a pioneering missionary. He was a ship's priest, briefly stopping at Birka to serve a tiny group of existing converts. He left no churches, no lasting mission. The true roots of Swedish Christianity lie elsewhere, here in Western Sweden. In an era where land divided and seas connected, Western Sweden was part of the Atlantic community, linked to Norway, the British Isles, and even Spain. British missionaries arrived here long before Ansgar, spreading Christianity along our coasts. Some say a failed mission here inspired Beowulf, the greatest epic in English literature. Western Sweden wasn't just a backwater, a terra nullis. It was where Sweden's Christian story truly began. So, and there's an Ernest or eagle nest in Beowulf, isn't there?
Yeah.
Can you tell me where in Beowulf?
This one Beowulf handles the last battle with. It's with the dragon.
And is this called Ernest today?
This place?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, okay.
It's on the map. If you look onto any internet map. Yeah.
So within sight.
Shallow bay areas.
And in fact, in the Beowulf poem, they talk about Ernest being on the sea, don't they, or by the water, is that right?
Yeah.
So it would have fit geographically.
After the clash, he throws the dragon down into the water. So it fits quite well. Yeah.
Okay. And this is a very peaceful place now, and no tourist information and no speculation. So you've got this story to yourself. I mean, you're an archaeologist in truth, can you say? When the dragon is a metaphor for a pagan attack.
Yeah. So it's a demonizing description of a pagan cult.
Here in western Sweden, history whispers a different story, one that challenges everything most Swedes learn as children in school. Historian Peter Jarntoft offers a bold hypothesis. In the 500s, a heathen Geatish kingdom, ruled by King Hygelac and his descendants, thrived near Sweden's west coast, just 40 kilometers northeast of modern Gothenburg. This was nearly the closest point to England, a natural bridge for ideas. English monks from a long Christianized land arrived here, invited by Hygelac's people, to plant the seeds of Christianity in a fertile agricultural region. A hill nearby called Ernest echoes the eagle nest of Beowulf, a clue to this place's ancient significance. Hygelac's warriors, not yet fully Christianed, welcomed the monks, protecting them against rival heathen kingdoms in Västergötland, who sought to drive them out. But the rival's strength proved too great. Hygelac's people suffered a crushing defeat, and the monks fled back to England. Yet their story endured, passed down through oral tradition. The doomed Geatish defenders and their English allies were immortalized in song. These verses became the Beowulf epic. In this epic, Beowulf emerges as a mythic Superman embodying Hygelac's courageous warriors. Their heathen enemies were transformed into a monstrous dragon. It's a sly piece of Christian propaganda too. The epic paints the pagans' bravery as futile, their fate eternal nothingness. Christianity, it whispers, offers heaven, a message that resonated with later Christian audiences who knew the gloom of their ancestors' world. This early Christian spark in Västergötland flickered out in the 500s. It would be 2 or 3 centuries before English missionaries returned, this time to stay. At Husaby, King Olof Skötkonung was baptized, marking Västergötland as the true cradle of Swedish Christianity. Not Birka, not Ansgar's fleeting visit. Here, near these western shores, Sweden's spiritual story truly began.
As a foreign investigative journalist based in Scandinavia, an outsider covering contemporary as well as historical topics, I've spent years unearthing the stories Stockholm's establishment prefers to bury. Take Olof Skötkonung, Sweden's first Christian king, baptized, tradition says, here at Husaby around 1008. But the evidence tells a different tale. Olof wasn't baptized late in life. He journeyed to England in 994, where King Ethelred himself baptized and confirmed him. The reason was a deal. Olof swore never to raise a sword against England. In return, Ethelred gifted him coin masters to mint currency, cementing his power in Geatland, modern Västergötland. English legal codes, taxation systems, noble titles and churchmen crossed the sea with him. We know much about Viking rule in England, but this is the reverse. A civilizing current flowing eastward, Geatland, starting inland from what is today Gothenburg, became a bridgehead for Christian order, taming the Viking chaos that plagued Scandinavia and England. English ideas took root here, shaping laws, faith and governance long before Stockholm's rise. This isn't the history Stockholm's elite want you to hear. A Western Sweden, not their capital, was the cradle of civilized Scandinavia. Yet the coins, the charters, the church bells of Västergötland ring out this uncomfortable truth.
where Olof didn't trust the people. For example, in Bohuslän and Mälardalen and in Östergötland, he also placed Tegnar. It shows that Västergötland was a center for Olof's kingdom, and he tried to expand his kingdom to the other parts of what's now in Sweden.
History, as Stockholm would tell it, nominates the east, Uppsala, Birka, as Sweden's heart. But here in Västergötland, the stones speak a different truth. In Anglo-Saxon England, a thegn or thane was no mere noble. He was a trusted warrior aristocrat, third in rank below the king and ealdorman, a substantial landowner akin to the modern baron. These were the king's right-hand men bound by loyalty and land. Remarkably, this title crossed the North Sea to Sweden. Look at Västergötland's runestones. Many of them commemorate thegns, far more than anywhere else in Sweden. These inscriptions, clustered near Skara and Varnhem, signal a profound English influence. Swedish kings, like Olof Skötkonung, didn't just borrow English coins or laws, as we've seen. They adopted England's elite warrior class, the thegns, to anchor their rule. Västergötland, not Stockholm's hinterlands, was home to these powerful lieutenants, proof that Sweden's early power pulsed from this western heartland. This is a story Stockholm's historians rarely tell, but the runestones of Geatland proclaim it loud and clear.
Med detta det är att man också kan se hur Sverige såg ut för 1000 år sedan. Var tyngdpunkten låg och var periferin låg. Och då ser man att då ligger Mälardalen, alltså Uppsala till exempel, ligger ju utanför. Det är alltså absolut inte tyngdpunkten i riket, utan tvärtom så ligger det utanför det här området. Och jag försökte att motbevisa Karl Öving här. Han säger ju att det är tegnar från England. Så jag har gått igenom alla brev som Knut den store skrev. Och alltså tecknat ner alla namn i England på skandinaviska tegnar, som har skandinaviska namn då. Och jämfört dem med runstenarna här. Och det finns alltså inga namn som överensstämmer. Vilket jag tycker visar att det kan inte vara hemvändande engelska tegnar, skandinaviska tegnar, som har kommit hem till Västergötland. Utan det här är tegnar som är härifrån.
Okej, så han har lånat modellen men inte personalen?
Ja.
Stockholm's historians would have you believe Sweden's soul was forged in the east in Uppsala, home of the archbishop and heart of ecclesiastical tradition. But the truth lies here in Västergötland. In 1015, Sweden's first diocese was founded in Skara, 150 years before Uppsala. Geatland, not Uppsala, near Stockholm, birthed Sweden's church in its earliest state. Skara County Museum has told the story for decades, though it rarely reaches school books. Here, kings and the church forged a powerful alliance. Local rulers like Olof Skötkonung tapped the church's clerical skills, law administration, taxation, to expand their domains, gaining legitimacy through the promise of eternal life for their people. In return, the church won royal protection, its stone walls guarded by swords. This symbiosis helped form Sweden's first state, which radiated from the centre of Västergötland, not from Stockholm. Just 15 kilometres from Skara lies Varnhem, a cathedral where nearly every early Swedish king rests in eternal silence. After Husaby's star faded, Varnhem became medieval Sweden's power nexus, yet it's a name most Swedes barely know. Yet Västergötland, not the east, was where Sweden's Christian and royal roots took hold. Swedish establishment historians would have you believe their city was always Sweden's beating heart. But the 2 centuries after Olof Skötkonung paint a different picture, a tangle of ambition and strife, barely written down. From the 1000s to the 1200s, rival clans and royal families battled for supremacy across the Geatish lands, from their strongholds dotting Västergötland and eastern Geatland. Today's political centre, Stockholm, was a footnote, not born until around 1250, when Birger Jarl, magnate rooted here in Västergötland, founded the city. Stockholmers hail him as their city's father, erecting a grand catafalque outside City Hall, inscribed with his name. But it's empty. Birger Jarl lies here in Varnhem, not Stockholm. A century ago, Stockholm's elite sought to claim his bones. Västergötland's locals refused. In 2002, science confirmed it. DNA from Varnhem's tombs proved Birger rests here, not in the city he built. Yet no marker heralds his grave. You'd need a history book or a guide to know that Sweden's pivotal king chose Västergötland's soil, not Stockholm's, speaks volumes. This land, not the East, was the cradle of the Swedish nation's power. For years I've chased the truth of Västergötland's pivotal role in Sweden's story. A truth Stockholm's elite prefers to bury. I sought an interview with Maria Wrettermark, the brilliant chief archaeologist at Skara's museum, renowned for her seminars on Västergötland's ancient sites. Everyone said she was the one to talk to. One evening I attended her lecture here, captivated by her team's discoveries, sites of immense importance, from 9th century churches to runestones. Afterwards, in a brief chat, she hinted at their significance, but stopped short. I emailed, hoping for more, but no interview came. Reading between the lines, I sensed a deeper issue. 800 years later, Västergötland's early dominance over a then irrelevant Stockholm area remains a political hot potato. It's no secret who controls the purse strings. In the 1980s, a Gothenburg museum chief revealed on television that Stockholm's digs got the lion's share of funding. Västergötland's treasures, Husaby, Varnhem, Alfhem, Beowulf, relied on local donations, not state money, and amateur historians. Stockholm still casts a long shadow.
De stora anslagen har till 70-80% gått till forskningsinstitutionerna i Stockholm i första hand och till mindre utsträckning också omkring där. Medan Västsverige har fått 2-3%.
We just have to look at the Viking era and earlier around here, not with the same way as you do in other up in Mälardalen, but just look at for what it is here and go from that. And it's not always people have done that, and that's a problem, I think, anyway. So if you go from that, take what's on the ground in each different area, and you will probably come to some really interesting conclusions. Now and again, I just get the feeling that some of these really old interpretations have been put into our history books, and now we have the possibility and the time to really say, well, we could look over this again and try to figure out what it really is like. And I don't get the idea when I look at things that we have Svealand and they conquer everything else. I got a little bit of a pushback really when I was working up in Stockholm a couple of years ago from some of them, and I realized how infected this was even for them as well. So I got a little bit surprised that it was so infected for them.
But this map is also almost like a mental map of the medieval era. And we are then looking between the lakes Vänern and Vättern, and this is area in between the lakes. That's where we're situated today, and in the northeast of that area, that's where we are now. This is gold found down here. That's called Barnkälla gold, and that's then much of this gold is probably from the Roman Empire, probably from mines in Romania and Spain to begin with, but somehow in the 500s it just flows into Sweden, and the majority, 35%, ends up in Skaraborg and in Västergötland.
This is interesting. This piece of jewellery goes to Stockholm. Does it sit in the National Museum?
Yeah. It's up there. Most of the gold is up there at the moment.
I mean, isn't that a bit unfair that it sits up there and not in the place where it belongs?
It could be annoying, and I find it a bit irritating at times. And it wouldn't be so bad if they just it would be easy accessible, but it's a bit tricky to get hold of it.
And then do they inform the viewer where it was based or where it was found?
Usually they do, but now and again, but it's just not very obvious.
And they don't place it into context or tell the bigger story?
The bigger stories around Västergötland is usually never told.
The Swedish History Museum of Stockholm stands as the state's gatekeeper of our past, but its silence speaks louder than its exhibits. On a recent visit, I searched for the traces of the Geatish kingdom, Västergötland and its sister Östergötland, where Christianity first took root, where Sweden's state arguably began. Not a word. No mention of Husaby's baptisms, Varnhem's ancient crypt, or Skara's diocese, centuries before Stockholm arose on the scene. Instead, the galleries buzzed with today's Stockholm's preoccupations: lesbian rights, feminism, and modern cultural debates. These are worthy topics, but sidelining this aspect of Sweden is troubling.
Berätta nu om den här affären med Vikingarnas värld.
Detta var en tv-serie i 3 program som skulle skildra, enligt syftet i alla fall, hur folk levde på vikingatiden. Och det var ett vitt begrepp, vikingatid, de använde från 200-talet till 1350. Och syftet var alltså att skildra hur folk levde, men de skickade in också hur Sveaväldet under den här tidsperioden expanderade från Uppland och söder och västerut. Och därför anmäldes ju serien. Det kom in 6 anmälningar. Och granskningsnämnden för radio och tv tog 11 månader på sig för att fatta ett beslut, vilket är ovanligt lång tid. Och det intressanta är att granskningsnämnden säger att Sveariket expanderade inte från Uppsala, det var inte centrum, och kristnandet skedde inte från Birka. Men man fällde ändå inte serien, därför att den övergripande kontexten, samhällsstrukturen, låg inte i syftet. Och det innebär alltså att man kan egentligen säga vad som helst i SVT:s program och i fortsättningen. Det är bara det att man gör ett litet syfte och så ser till att den delen är saklig, medan resten kan vara hur osakligt som helst.
Vi har enorma skatter i Västergötland som bara ligger och väntar under jord på att grävas fram. Men vi är bakbundna för att det finns inga ekonomiska medel till det. Vi har stora vikingaskepp som ligger uppe i Vänern och väntar på att grävas ut, som är 20, 22, 24 meter långa, som Mosebergsskeppen och Gokstadsskeppen. Men det finns inga marinarkeologiska medel till det. Arkeologer har vi, men det finns inga pengar. Västergötland är Sveriges mest kyrktätaste område. Åker du här i Västergötland så har du 2, 3, 4 kilometer mellan kyrkorna. Åker du i övriga landet så är det 4-5 mil mellan kyrkorna. Här är så kyrktätt så att man fick till och med riva kyrkor på 12, 13, 1400-talet. Svårarbetat dock för oss som är i den här branschen, det är våra skolor och skolbarn, våra barn och ungdomar. Och det tycker jag är synd, för att det är där egentligen vi måste börja för att skola in våra barn och ungdomar och lära sig av vår västgötska och svenska historia.
Lever Sveaskolan kvar 35 år efter Dag Storsjö gjorde sin film?
Oh ja.
På vilket sätt?
Ja, alltså senast nu så var det Jonathan Lindström, en arkeolog från Stockholm, som skrev en artikel i Fornvännen. Nej, förlåt. Populär arkeologi. Där han visar Sveastaten, hur den växte fram under årtusenden med fokus på Mälardalen. Sen var det också ett program i Vetenskapens värld i höstas som behandlar Beowulf. Och det var en pensionerad arkeolog, Bo Gräslund från Uppsala, som la fram sina teser om vad Sveriges rike låg då, och det är också Mälardalen. Alltså att Beowulfs svear var från Mälardalen och att kungaätten höll till i Uppsala. Så att den lever i största välmåga.
J.R.R. Tolkien, the world-famous author, was also a philologist and Oxford professor who believed myths and language forge a nation's soul. In the early 20th century, he saw a void in England's folklore ravaged by the Norman invasions. Whereas Finland had Elias Lönnroth's Kalevala or Germany had Jacob Grimm's fairy tales, Anglo-Saxon England lacked a large body of literature, Beowulf being one rare exception. Tolkien, inspired by the Norse sagas and indeed Beowulf, which he taught at university, crafted a mythology akin to what England's might once have been. Eventually, the purely fantasy element took over, and the result was Lord of the Rings, one of the great works of literature. Today's Game of Thrones and Harry Potter owe Tolkien a huge debt, proof that myths hold power and can be a source of huge profit. Here in Västergötland, Geatland, we stand on mythic ground, Husaby Varnhem Skara, where Sweden's Christian and royal roots took hold, as Beowulf's echoes suggest. Yet Stockholm's museums ignore this legacy, and tourists rarely visit this relatively neglected corner. Västergötland's story, like Tolkien's lost myths, beg rediscovery. Why let Stockholm's shadow dim a heritage that could draw in the world?